Matten, linkse ratten, rol uw matten. Linkse ratten, rol uw matten. Rol uw matten.
Dear viewer, so I just got back from Mechelen and there was a protest there today by Voorpost, and I'm making this video in English because I think it's an issue that deserves a little bit of international attention, also to showcase a little bit how the Flemish and Dutch movement does things, maybe some inspiration for people elsewhere in Europe. So there was a protest today about freedom of speech, and the reason was last year there was a protest against Islamization by Voorpost, and 4 people were arrested and recently convicted for the banner which said "Stop Islamisering," "Stop Islamization." And it's a controversial case because, well, the justice minister and the judge in the case are both very partisan political. The minister, Sommers, said that if we had laws to prevent speech like this before the Second World War, the Holocaust would never have happened, equating Islam criticism with with the Holocaust, essentially. And it's, from a judicial point of view, a little complicated case because, well, Stop Islamization is critiquing religion, critiquing ideas. And the sentence read that it was creating a climate of fear and hate, which could lead to violence toward Muslims, which is a very, very shaky argument. Now, why is this case actually happening? Well, I don't think it's to just try and destroy Voorpost, like, for example, the Génération Identitaire in France was destroyed with a bullshit court case about them assuming the authority of the state. No, I think in this case they want to create a legal precedent that criticism of Islam is unlawful, and they want to use that as a vector to attack Vlaams Belang and find a way to ban Vlaams Belang on those grounds. I think Vlaams Belang realizes that quite well because Vlaams Belang was quite heavily present at this demonstration with their party leader Tom van Grieken speaking at it, and a number of parliamentarians and other leaders of the party being present. There were about 500 people at this demonstration. You'll see in the videos it was quite a decent presence. So this is an important case because if this sets a precedent in Belgium, it will also set a precedent for the Netherlands, and they might take some ideas from that. They've tried to pull a similar court case against Geert Wilders, where he said less Moroccans. They tried to ban him for discrimination. That would also be a venue to ban the PVV. So they're trying to use lawfare to tackle a lot of the successful political parties, populist parties in Western Europe. Because one of the reasons they're doing this right now in Flanders is because Vlaams Belang is the biggest party in the polls. It was already the second biggest party last election. The Belgian government is, formally speaking, not actually an elected government. It's a minority coalition put in power through an emergency law due to COVID, and it's a coalition of all the other parties who aren't the N-VA and the Flemish Nationalist Party, Vlaams Belang. So technically speaking, there would have to be new elections before a proper government can be installed. And if that happens, Vlaams Belang is likely to become the biggest, possibly having a majority together with the N-VA, meaning a Flemish nationalist populist government. And they want to avoid that, so they're using any tool they can get, even going so desperate as statements like these that with hate speech laws they could prevent a second Holocaust against Muslims, I suppose. Completely infringing freedom of speech and going against a lot of the basic law, against their own constitution, against European law, international law, and so on. So this is why I was at this protest. It's an important protest because it could be used as a precedent in other countries. It could be a way to destroy the biggest political party in Flanders. This doesn't mean the Flemish movement would be destroyed. The Flemish movement is also quite big outside of Parliament, of course. They have student unions, trade unions. They even got a health insurance fund. So the Flemish movement would continue to exist, but it would of course be a blow In the past, I believe Flemish nationalist parties have been banned twice. And of course, Flemish majority would put the continuation of Belgium as a country at stake, because both the N-VA and the Vlaams Belang are separatist parties. And this is why I want to do it in English. I want an international audience to know about these things happening. Again, it's also happening in France. It's happened in the Netherlands. I think we'll see more of this happening because populist parties continue to make progress in a number of countries. And can you contribute to this in some way as a nationalist not from the Netherlands? Sure, you can support their cause. You can donate to their lawfare fund. I think since Americans don't have much of a movement of their own, they can just give all their money to us so we can do actually useful things with it, because they'll just be wasting it on, I don't know, they'll use their super chat donations to go buy booze or something. Anyway, next will be some footage of the protests, and for any international viewers, I do recommend checking out the Flemish movement more, what we're up to.
Start of the march. Over the course of the day there were about 1,000 attendees from a number of organizations. Of course, Voorpost was there itself as the main organizer and the main security. Then there were also the Nationalist Students' Union and the Catholic Students' Union. Vlaams Belang was there, of course. But there was also the organizational committee for Flemish movements, the Flemish Health Insurance company, and a number of others, and of course quite a lot of nationalist civilians. Quite a good event, a lot of nationalist figures, and we had a bit of music at the end and a couple of speeches. One of the biggest events in quite a long while I've seen actually hitting the streets. A lot of old friends, seeing them again. Good times, good times.